Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today is another metabolic conditioning day, and just a quick reminder for those of you who watch all of my training clips, please remember to click like down below. Guys, we're on a dislike bot. These tend to get hundreds of dislikes, and they'll get thousands of views, and like 15 people will like it. So if you guys watch these every day, please just remember to click like down below. It won't cost you anything. You just reach down and hit it, and we can continue with the video. And I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would do that, just to help with my overall outreach. So thank you so much. But Metcon is pretty consistent right now. I know for those who watch these, it's going to be a little bit boring now, and it's mainly just documenting what I do. Just a heads up, because again, I've had someone ask recently, how are you spacing these out? How are the sets and everything? This is one continual video clip. There is no spacing out. In other words, I do, 12, 13, 15, 16 minutes, whatever I feel like doing, just for continual conditioning work. Now, keep in mind, I do all my chins and other stuff also, so even though I do, something like 25 chins in the middle of this, I'll do 100 a day. And I've started adding face pulls and stuff every day. Sometimes I'll do some extra glute ham raises. Those are my normal work. This is just to get my heart rate up and to get conditioning. I use the chins as a general work capacity movement as well. And again, as I've told to a lot of you guys, it helps build grip, it helps build your core, things like that. So the conditioning work here is just to get into shape. Now, I was doing more than this at one time. Not that long ago, I was doing more than this. This is the amount that I need just to get the training response that I want. Because now I'm in a phase to where obviously I'm continuing to recomp, but I'm focusing on maximum strength on a number of lifts. I'm trying to get a lot stronger. And we're seeing it. Bench has got to come up next, but you guys have seen me obviously do the squat. We saw some big PRs on the squat, then bam, deadlift's going up now. So we're improving squatting and deadlifting now. Benching needs to go up. So I'm going to have a limited amount of this I can handle. And I feel like my sweet spot is going to be right around the 40 to 45 minutes of metabolic conditioning every week. And for those who don't understand how Metcon works, this is resistance-based cardio. Okay, these aren't limit sets. We're not trying to get in here and say, hey, what's the most chin-ups I can do in a set? What's the most step-ups I can do in a set? We are using resistance to elevate heart rate, to elevate breathing, to build conditioning. Okay, this is conditioning work. This is essentially a form of cardio, but it's strength-based cardio. We're using resistance movements to do it. And in this case, I'm rotating through the biggest muscles in my body. The step-ups obviously involve the quads, the glutes, to a lesser extent the hamstrings, but mainly quad and glutes. And alternating it with each foot, they're going back and forth, so each one's getting a rest. The chin-ups use obviously all the muscles in the chin-up, and it uses most of your upper body. The glute ham raises, again, more core stuff, hamstring, glute, things like that, but tends to be hamstring dominant. So pretty much my entire body is getting trained in this circuit through some resistance. Now, I've chosen to de-emphasize chest and triceps. Why? Because normally I was doing push-ups and dips and other stuff in here. Mainly because I'm going through a tricep and bench specialization a little bit right now. My total training volumes are slightly biased towards benching and benching muscles. I don't want to interfere with the recovery of that. And normally conditioning work like this wouldn't, but I feel like because I'm pushing the absolute limits on my tricep recovery in my 2 sessions every week, I'm pretty much have them at areas that some people would call junk volume. I feel like even doing conditioning for them in between could potentially, in a worst case, negatively affect me. Until work capacity gets built, then I might start doing some individual tricep stuff later. I could always end up doing band press downs every day. Right now I want to focus on just training them really hard with the maximum volumes and tensions that they can handle during my main workouts. And I feel like the Metcon doesn't leave me a lot of recovery for that. See, this hasn't interfered with my ability to deadlift and squat, because while I've been doing all this, we've seen me squat PR. We've seen me hit a pretty big deadlift PR, so it's not interfering there. But we also are doing a little bit less volume there, and these are a little bit more stamina-oriented muscles. So, and that's fine. This is where we want to build our work capacity. We're going to get most of the benefit out of those bigger muscles anyways, in terms of just energy turnover, getting our heart rate up, things like that. So that's the idea. But again, this is conditioning work. It's conditioning work that has a minor anabolic component. Now, you get some people who will say, well, are you really getting any muscle growth from this? Yeah, of course you are. I'm moving my entire body for a bunch of resistance. I weigh 220 pounds. There is a minor training response to that. But the point we get to is that it's not just about the training response, it's about the fact that we are using enough resistance to stimulate a small anabolic response instead of just, say, doing some slow list cardio that tends to be catabolic in nature. Right? This is mildly anabolic in nature. Okay? Mildly growth stimulating. And the big perk of it is because we're training these muscles under, reasonable loads. There's some workload here. I'm not a light guy. One-legged step-ups do have a pretty good amount of tension. Chin-ups do have a pretty good amount of tension when you weigh what I weigh. And so people would adjust their reps accordingly. No, it's just good conditioning. It's good conditioning work. But it facilitates better recovery. This is the way that I'm doing it is going to be a form of both active recovery and training your body to recover faster. Because what we do with this, we're training our body to clear waste products faster. Right? We get our heart rate up, our breathing up, we build capillary beds through these muscles while doing a form of resistance training. Okay, this improves work capacity, improves recovery. And I'm going to say this a lot in these videos. This allows you to recover faster between work sets when you're training. Hey, the main thing here is that this carries over tremendously to things like dynamic effort days. Okay, because what are our cornerstones? Our 4 cornerstones for a strength-based athlete are going to be maximum strength, explosiveness, metabolic fatigue, and which is hypertrophy. And that's also going to be to some extent your work capacity. And then conditioning, right? Our conditioning component. All right, this work capacity that we build here lets us train harder. Okay? It lets us train harder and longer with shorter breaks in our main workouts. All right, it gets you into shape. You're in better shape, you can train harder on your big exercises because you can do more volume, you can cut rest times, you recover. Because a lot of times what limits us when we're doing a bunch of squats or deadlifts, our cardiovascular system can become a limit, can't it? Your conditioning can actually limit your work density when you're training those big movements. Well, if you're out of shape and you're limiting your work density, it can affect your training negatively. By that same token, if you haven't built your ability to clear waste products, it could reduce recovery after you train. All right, that's not ideal. Because ideally, we want to be able to train optimally. We want to be able to train optimally and recover from it. All right, this is the final cornerstone in developing that. You have to be in shape. You need to be in shape. In better shape you're in, the harder you can train and the better you can recover from it. This is something a lot of bodybuilders lose because they're not athletes. They get lost in that. They think purely in terms of stress and then recovery. They're not thinking in terms of how does this additional work impact your recovery? How does it impact your work capacity itself? Because our goal should be able to train as much as we can tolerate and adapt to. Right? If we want to train, and ideally, we want to work on our ability to train with more, to do more training and be able to recover from it. This helps with that in a very tremendous way. All conditioning does, but this type of conditioning specifically has carryover. And I actually had someone ask me, what about barbell complexes? Why don't you do those? Well, they could do the same thing, but I've got all this body weight stuff. This is what I'm choosing to do. Could you do this same thing with barbell complexes? Yes, absolutely. It's the same idea. So if you have 6 different barbell movements that you do sets of 5 with your 10 or 12 rep max width in a rotation, it'll produce the same effect this does, right? The exact same effect. It's just strength-based conditioning. And this is a valuable tool for recomposition. This is one of the tools that I use for recomping. Because what did I show you guys before? When I used cardio to create a deficit, I lost muscle. Okay? When I used list cardio to create a deficit, I lost muscle on a DEXA scan. Based upon that, I think that that's a very, 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 very bad idea. All right, this sort of training is better for recomposition. It's way better. Way better. And that should be the goal. We should be focusing on recomposition, right? Bulking and cutting are for people who don't have choices. Ideally, an athlete should generally, unless you're already really, really lean, and I'm not really lean yet, I'm healthy body fat right now. I'm not ultra lean. I got a ways to go. You should recomp, right? You should be focusing on recomposition. You should generally be trying to gain muscle and lose fat. And when you get in shape, you can do that. It's more achievable because you've got really high work capacities. You've got really high energy turnovers. It's an easier process. Right? This helps facilitate that, in addition to just making you more athletic and be in better shape and healthier. All right? You combine this conditioning like this with real strength training, and that's really a fitness lifestyle at that point, right? Because we're maximizing all these components. And again, to me, that's fitness. Fitness isn't just one thing. It's combining all these things together. You know, you combine serious strength training with some true conditioning work like this that facilitates better recovery and allows you to train harder, because weight training really is the best for your health. But this facilitates better weight training with some extra metabolic benefits. Okay? Combine that with good quality diet, plenty of sleep, stress management. All right, that's about as healthy as you can expect to get in terms of overall fitness and health. That's about the best you're going to do as a human. Again, this helps tie all of it together. And that's the main thing. It creates a synergistic effect. But I'm pretty much going to finish up here, so I'm going to stop talking in a minute. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.